All right. A gute Woche. Perfect timing. So here's the story. This has always been one of the biggest topics in Kirov. When I started doing outreach many years ago, I was a rabbi out of town, and people avoided our shul. Like I would whenever I would meet somebody, and they would come to my house for Shabbos, and I would say, like, how come we never saw you before? So the answer, 9 out of 10 times, the answer was something to do with feminist issues. You don't have mechitza in your shul, you don't give women aliyahs, you don't have women rabbis, women don't count for a minyan, you don't have no women balkorei. Again, every era has its issues. There's certain. When my grandfather came here after the Holocaust, the obstacle to Yiddishkeit was Shmira Shabbos. He got fired. He worked in over 30. He was a tailor. He would he borrowed money to buy a sewing machine, and he would take a sewing machine and get hired by cleaning stores to be a tailor, and then every Sunday he'd be fired for not coming in for Shabbos, and he would take his stuff to the next cleaning store and get hired. And once in a while, in the busy season, they would keep him for an extra week or two if they had no choice. But still, he managed. In the first year, he worked hard. He saved enough money for 1 month's rent of his own store. And then the second year, he rented a store. He never had a problem again. He raised kids, and he had a from house. But that was, in the late 40s, early 50s. Today, that's not the problem. Today, if you get fired for not working on Shabbos, you get the right lawyer, it'll be the best thing that ever happened to you. You won't have to work on Tuesday. But over the years, things changed. When I started doing outreach on campuses and in shul, this was the issue. The issue was all the laws of men and women. And that's where the break of people unable to take Judaism seriously, because it was so far from the way they saw the world. The way at least in those times, they wanted to see the world was that we're the same. There's no differences. Men and women are the same. All the differences that we talk about are all artificial, created by men to control women, the patriarchy. Today we're it's way past that topic. It's today there are many genders. It's everybody's thousands of genders. So this might be a little bit dated of a talk. It's not. I haven't done this on campus in a long time, because that's not what they want to talk about. All they want to talk about are if there are genders, not what the gender roles are. But this year is for people who are to be able to precisely define genders. What is the Torah's view of men and women? Are there real differences? Are they artificial? What's real? What's different? And I think what people think is the weakest topic, the hardest to defend in Yiddishkeit, is probably our strongest suit. It's the most beautiful thing. It changes lives when you communicate this to people. And we'll see. I'm going to share it with you, and it's probably different than what most of us think. And okay, let's get to the point. Okay, so let's. So I'm going to start with just an interesting question, just so it'll be a little philosophical for the first 2 minutes, and then we'll get very real. But the philosophy of it is why would there need to be genders in the first place? If there's a God who created the world, why couldn't he just make us all the same? Why did he have to start with the groupings and divisions? What necessitates that? So most people say, so you could have kids, but that's not scientifically true, right? If you study basic biology, there are one-celled organisms. There's mitosis, An amoeba wants to have a kid. It just splits. It divides. It's so convenient, You never hear of amoebas jumping off bridges. They don't cry in their pillows. They don't, they don't go into schools and shoot 30 random people. Life would be so much more simple if we didn't have these divisions. So what wouldn't exist without genders? Or any division? Why did God need to divide humanity into two separate, chromosome types? So, X's and Y's. Why did that have to happen? What couldn't be without that? So, the answer, I think, is in the most basic way, is, and this is where, again, the philosophy part, don't get lost in the philosophy, is that our goal is to experience perfection. That was God's intention in creation. He wanted us to experience godliness, use whatever word you want. He wanted to give, he wanted to share joy. The problem is that it's impossible for any human being to experience perfection, because the mashal I'll use is if you're in school and you're given a test, and you're only given half the questions on the test, the highest grade you can get is a 50. It's impossible to get more than a 50 if you only have half the questions. And in the test of life, in the challenge of life, it's impossible for a human being to ever have more than 50% of the questions on the test. It's just the nature of existence. I'll explain why in a second. But if you can only have half of the what are the questions on the test of life? These are our challenges. It's only possible to have half of all maximum half of all challenges. So if you ace life and you're perfect, you do everything right, you're a tzaddik, you only get a 50. Why is that? So, because there's what are the challenges of life? What are if you had to sort of like organize it in your mind? If you see life as a test with questions, what are the challenges of life? And those are our situations. What's your situation? If you're rich, you have a rich person's challenges. Will you be arrogant? Will you give charity? Will you get lazy? If you're poor, will you give tzedakah? Will you share? Will you work hard? Will you persevere? Will you be jealous? Will you complain? Will you steal? If you're smart, will you teach? Will you share your knowledge? Will you be arrogant? If you're not smart, will you persevere? Will you remain ignorant? Will you come to hate knowledge? Will you make fun of scholarship? Will you work hard? You come from a broken home or a happy home, the right side of the tracks, the wrong side of the tracks. You're outgoing, you're shy. Every single trait in life has an opposite trait. And it's impossible to be both. And if you tell me I was 30 and rich and 50 and poor, that's fine, but you were never 30 and poor and 50 and rich. For every single test you have in life, there's an opposite test, a mirror image that you weren't exposed to. It's impossible to be both who you are and the mirror image. So it sounds like what I'm saying over here, there's not two challenges, it sounds like an infinite amount of challenges. You need to create a rich person and a poor person and a smart. It's not the truth. Really, you can neatly organize all the challenges of life based on what I just said into two categories. What are the two categories? Like if I was making a chart, intuitively we would all know where to put things on a chart. If I started the chart and I put rich here and poor here, and then I said intelligent and not intelligent, where would you put them? So we would put intelligent under the rich and a happy home and right side of the tracks and all those kind of things. We know where they would go. Good looking, athletic, talented, good voice. On the other side, all of the challenges. So what would you name those two categories? If each one of those is a challenge, what are the two challenges? What would you name them? It's not good and bad, because that's not a challenge. I need a terminology that describes what is the challenge of the gifted person and what is the challenge of the person who's lacking in whatever category it is. That's a definition. What's their challenge? What's the challenge of the have-not?
Humility and ambition.
That's nice. Humility. Okay. It's interesting. That's the job of the rich person. Humility. That's a nice trait. Can you do more? To use it properly, to defend it, to maximize his talents, to be effective, and right. So there's the challenge of the have-nots, which is to achieve, to climb. If you visualize life as a ladder, and one person's on the top of whatever it is, and one person's at the bottom, so it's very easy to visualize the challenges. One person's job is to climb, and the other person is to defend their position and to do whatever you do at the top. Give guidance, tell them how to do it, whatever it is.
Men and women.
They know what the topic is, you know what I mean? So you're not getting any gold stars for that one. You're gonna have to do something a little more significant over here, okay? Unless I give this the remedial class and I'll give you a knif already, okay? All right. Right, men and women. Amazing, men and women. So Hashem created why is it this way? Well, I want to minimize the philosophy part and get into the real stuff, so I don't want to open any cans of worms. I want to keep it neat and trim. life is a ladder. There are people who are born without gifts and people who are born with those gifts. The people without gifts have to climb, the people with the gifts have to achieve. These are in a little deeper way to understand that these two tests really are because there are two aspects to godliness. When we speak about ruchnius or spirituality, in Hebrew we have two different words that people think are synonyms, but they're very far from synonyms. We talk about godliness, we talk about kedusha, kadosh, and tahara, tahor. Kadosh v'tahor, right? But they're synonyms, they're good, spiritual, virtuous, but really they're the opposites. You achieve kedusha, you become kadosh, you preserve and defend tahara. Tahara is you start tahar and you preserve it, you defend it. Kedusha is, what's the opposite of kadosh? Chol. You start at chol and you achieve kedusha. You have to be malin b'kodesh. You oile b'kedusha. You defend tahara. So, if a person wants to experience godliness, so you need to experience kedusha and tahara. Each one of them is a different type of godliness. And therefore God divided every neshama in half. And He gave half of the neshama the job of kedusha, and half of the neshama the job of tahara. One half of the neshama is born in the bottom of the ladder, and one's born in the top of the ladder. What does that mean? That one half is poor, and one half is rich, one half is smart, one half is not? No, what is it? What is, if you wanted to make it the neatest thing possible, it's all one thing. Perfection is godliness. So one half of the neshama is born godly, and one half of the neshama is born with the absence of godliness. That doesn't mean, and these are men and women. We believe that a woman is already born on top of a ladder. She is born with all the traits that the Torah uses to define God she has at birth. Loving, compassionate, sensitive, kind, caring, selfless, deep, sensitive, sharing, caring. And we believe that a man is born with the absence of these traits. Selfish, arrogant, lazy, lustful, argumentative, combative, competitive. Now, we don't think a man's a rasha or a woman's a tzaddikas, because a man is not punished for being born this way. That's how he was created. He'll be judged at the end of 120 years. How many rungs did you climb up the ladder? What did you do with yourself? And the woman is not rewarded for being born godly. She'll be judged at the end of 120 years. How many rungs did you defend? Did the world succeed at degrading you? Did they schlep you down? Did you lose your majesty and your dignity and your godliness? And this is the basic philosophical framework. So now we can start to plug in data and look at it from a real standpoint. So taking what I said at face value, just accepting it at this stage in the talk, I think it'll become clear as we go along, but thank you. But taking it at, let's go through. So let's say this is the truth, that a man's job is to climb the ladder, and a man's job therefore is kedusha, and the woman's job is tahara. And a couple together can achieve kedusha and tahara, and that's called godliness, and that's shleimut. Okay? So let's make it real. So my job is to climb the ladder, and I have 120 years to climb the ladder. So every one of us is now given a yetzer tov and a yetzer hara. So what would be, because that's the challenge, the bechira, Hashem makes life challenging. So what is the drive that would help a man in his mission, and what's the drive that hurts him? What is the challenge? Yeah? Stephen Wright has a joke. He got, you know Stephen Wright? He's like old school comedian. So he says, my birthday, I got a humidifier and a dehumidifier. I put them in the room, let them fight it out, you know? So but that's life. That's a good way to understand the Yetzer Tov and the Yetzer Hara, you know? We have two different things, opposing things going on. So what is the humidifier and the dehumidifier in a man's life? If his job is to change and to grow and to raise himself, to ennoble himself, so what's the Yetzer Tov? What if you wanted to help someone climb ladders? Someone's job is to be a climber. So what is the greatest thing to give him? What character trait? What would you imagine would be the greatest asset in character? Ambition. Beautiful. The Yetzer Tov of a man is ambition. For many people, this is fascinating. Many people think that ambition is the Yetzer Hara, right? It's like, no, the holiest thing in a man is his ambition. What's the Yetzer Hara of a man? Very simple, what? Laziness. Beautiful. Every man that ever lived is so easy to, so simple. You can oversimplify every man who ever lived as a struggle of ambition versus laziness. To the degree that his ambition overcomes his laziness, he will become amazing. He'll become knowledgeable, kind, powerful, athletic, rich. He's going to climb all the ladders. Whatever there is, why do you climb it? Because it was there. Ambition is there's a mountain, I'm going to conquer that peak. And there's many peaks, and in life, one trait of ambition will allow you to conquer all the peaks. The only reason why you wouldn't choose to conquer a mountain is that there's a better mountain behind it. I'm going to conquer that one. So ambition says, let me become all that I could be, the best I could be. Laziness says, now the truth is you can get a little deeper, that's not the point of this talk, it's other talks, but laziness is not really the root. You have to figure out where laziness comes from. Laziness is a result, it's not an actual trait. It's a child of shame and insecurity and whatever. There's a bunch of other things, but we don't have to get that deep. For now, we'll keep it simple. The challenge of a man is ambition versus laziness. Let's do the girls' side now. We'll keep on adding more detail as it gets cooler. But start simple and slowly start to add flesh onto the skeleton that we're creating. So what would be the Yetzer Tov of a girl? If a girl is already born godly with all of the midos of Hashem, so what's her Yetzer Tov? What are you going to give her that's going to help her? It's not an easy question. Tznius is not a trait. What's a trait? Okay, it's not a bad answer to children. What's the trait?
Resolute.
That's a nice trait. That's a nice word. What does it mean? To what? What does it mean? Good. You said maybe we're saying. I like the word. It's a good word. What kind of stark? Stark is a generic adjective. What type of? I'm not knocking. I just want to nail down a word that everybody can easily wrap their heads around. I used to do a shir, Gateways in the old days. They used to do an event in Manhattan for not firm singles. Manhattan's like a black hole of marriage. Like nobody gets married. It's very sad. So they had this boat ride around the island of Manhattan called Soulmates. And they had like 500 men, 500 women. They did it a few years in a row. No, but it was always the same 500 people of each. Nobody ever. It was like very sad. But they were trying. They were experimenting, trying different things. And the first, every deck had a different kind of food. It was the early sushi days before anyone heard of it. And there was a barbecue on one deck. And they realized that what happened was the men were just running up and down getting the food, and the women were waiting for someone to talk to them. So the second year they decided what we'll do is let's have a shir on one deck. Everyone will get together for the shir, and then they'll mingle after the shir. So that's when I was invited the second year. And they wanted some kind of, they were not from people, so it's a gimmicky shir, nothing too heavy. We did Torah and the Zodiac. Your Judaism and the Zodiac, your Torah horoscope. Like the Mazalah. It was a fun shir. Everybody came to the shir. As soon as the shir was over, all the men ran to the food. And the women, many of them came up to where I was speaking, and I thought they're going to say, Rabbi, that was amazing. It was so good. What's my horoscope? That's not what they said. What did they all say? They all said, so who do you know for me? So they all said. And at the time, I was doing a lot of shiurim in the city, so I didn't know a lot of singles. So I asked everyone, so what are you looking for? And I was very surprised by the answer. This is a real research study, because I did this over a few years, a serious sampling of secular, Jewish, successful Manhattan women. These are women probably in their basic low 30s, high 20s, low 30s, successful, great apartments, great clothing, great friends, everything, great jobs, missing a husband. So what do you think they answered? I was very surprised in the beginning what their answer was. It was not, I expected some romantic, mushy answer. What?
Normal.
Okay, that's sort of the answer. What did they say? They said everyone, the truth is there's a few different ways they said. They didn't all use the same adjective, but the same meaning. Imagine I spoke to 150, 200 women one night, 3 years in a row. So it's a real research, it's a real valuable study. Here's what they all said: stable, secure, grown up, responsible, mature, grown up, stable, secure, responsible, not a head case, ready to settle down. I imagine they had a lot of negative experiences, really cute, great guys who they're just cute, they're just really cute, great guys. And cute is the opposite of grown up. It's like you get away with being a flake. You're not a flake, you're adorable, you're cute. It's like a marketing job on flakiness. So But I realized this is an amazing thing. This is really the Torah's view. This is what the Yetzer Toiv of a woman is. If you're already born godly, so what is the Yetzer Toiv? What drive? A drive for security and stability is the holiest drive in the world, because you're already godly. You don't want anything to move. You see, if a man had a drive for security and stability, it would be a disaster. He'd be sitting on the couch with the beer and the remote saying, I hope nothing ever changes. Glue me right here, staple me to the couch, it's a relative drive. If you're already on top of the ladder, then the drive for security and stability is amazing. Okay? So the Yetzer Toiv of a woman is security and stability. They're very frustrated often that men don't have that drive, but it's a bracha. It would be a disaster, and we complement each other. We'll see how that works together later in the talk. But what's the woman's Yetzer Hara? This is a little more difficult. What's the Yetzer Hara? What is? It's very easy on a man: ambition or laziness. What is the opposite? Okay, I think that question needs a hug, not an answer. What happened? Okay. Somebody give the man a hug. Give him a hug. Okay. I give good hugs after the class. What?
My mother used to say that.
Okay.
The woman tried to destroy the man, but the second that she destroys him, he's finished.
Finished.
He doesn't really want to.
All right. That's not my answer. What's my answer? What's the answer? What is the woman's Yetzer Hara? So I learned the hard way. This is part of, we're going to see, part of the men-woman phenomena. I can give a shir to men and say 1,000 chesroinus. I can rip holes in everything you think is good about you. I say one little thing, little compliment, and the guy's happy. Really? I have potential? Okay. I'm a total disaster, but I have potential? Okay. On the girls, I noticed that I could say, if you're godly, you're perfect, you're amazing. I say one little Yetzer Hara, and I lost the whole crowd. Everyone's done with the shir. It's like we're going to see why. We're going to see. But so I can't even say it. Even if from God, I can't say what the Yetzer Hara is. But I came up with a scenario that sort of paints the picture, and you can see it for yourself. If every girl wants a guy who's stable and secure, so how come if you go to a bookstore and you go to the romance novel section, how come there's never ever been a romance novel with an accountant on the cover? Never. Like, what happened to stable and secure? Like, what's with the pirate? Like the guy doesn't own a shirt. Okay, he hasn't had a haircut in 8 years. Where's the stability and security? So the girls say, yeah, well, we want him to sell his ship and become an accountant. We're gonna get him. We're gonna sell the ship. I'm gonna get him a suit. Right. So what's going on?
Excitement.
What?
She wants excitement.
What's the word? It's stability and security. I call it fantasy. Okay, stability and security and fantasy, and that is opposite as the man's struggle of ambition and laziness, but they're very different struggles. They're literally mirror images of each other. So let me show you a couple of cool things just as we add on more data. This small framework already explains 90% of the questions people have on Judaism regarding genders. There's so many mitzvahs that men get to do. Men have all these mitzvahs, and the women don't have these mitzvahs. So that's very insulting. The women have a right to be insulted. If there's a God, he better be fair, right? That's the basic midah of Hashem. Hashem's a melech hamishpat. So how is it fair? If I make a birthday party for my kid, and I invite his whole class, and everyone gets a bag with lollipops and those blowing things, and yo-yos and chocolate bars, and one kid gets asparagus, right? That's messed up, right? Right? So that's unjust. So how could Hashem give men all these cool mitzvahs, and women, like you could bake challah, It's not fair. So you have a right to be upset. What's the answer to that question? Just because we're from doesn't mean we should accept things that are unjust. What's the answer? The answer is that mitzvos are not prizes. Who told you they're prizes? If you're giving prizes, you have to give everybody equal prizes. Mitzvos are tools. They're the tools you need for your job. If a man's job is to climb, he needs a certain set of tools, and a woman has a job to defend in her position, she has a different set of tools. So we have two types of mitzvos. Mitzvos aseh, positive, thou shalt do mitzvos, and thou shalt not mitzvos. If you were imagining how those mitzvos line up with these jobs, how would they line up? What What are the mitzvos to help you become something? Do the thou shalt mitzvos. What are the thou shalt not mitzvos? All the don't fall. So women have all of the thou shalt not mitzvos applied to a woman. The thou shalt mitzvos applied to a man. He has to climb.
Why they're more negative than positive than men?
Okay, because there's more groupings. There's holidays. There's also there's different not really more, because like 71 of the thou shalt not mitzvos, 71 mitzvahs of the thou shalt of the are idol worship. It's really one mitzvah, but there's 71 different ways to. A couple of them are positive mitzvahs. To hate the idol worshiper, it's a positive mitzvah, but over 65 of them are negative mitzvahs. Okay, so it's really much more positive. Just the negative ones have much more. You flesh them out into small. Like Shabbos is one mitzvah. We have 39 malachas. It's one, But okay. So where are we? So now with frum people, I have to get a little more nuanced because you guys know why. You have to keep me honest. Don't be shy. You know the kasha? Which mitzvah? What?
Men also have the lowest.
Okay, because you can't fall. It doesn't help to climb if you're gonna you have to maintain where. But their avodah is to climb. But women have mitzvahs aseh. Which mitzvahs aseh don't they have? Only a subset. The time-bound mitzvahs aseh shazman grama. So I don't want to get too involved. I'll give you a little hint at the answer. It's a cool thing to share, but it's its own share to show how it really works. If we were to analyze like men and women in the world trying to do their missions, and you have a man with his ambition and his laziness, he's trying to climb, and he got one wish. You gave him one wish. What is the greatest gift you could give him on his quest to achieve shleimus in life? He has ambition and laziness. He's fighting it out. You can give him anything. What would be the greatest asset to give him if he has to climb the mountain, climb the ladder? The ladder's there, the opportunity's there, fair. He already has the opportunity. The job is defined, the drive is there, the other drive is there. What does he want?
Clarity. Done for him.
Maybe I'm asking, these are all good answers. My answer is the ultimate bet, time. Because if you have a set journey to accomplish, right, you have a test with a certain amount of questions, the best thing I can give you is more time. More time. You climb that, the more time you have, the greater chance you have to get to where you're going. Time is the greatest gift for a man. If you're a woman and you're already godly and your job is to hold on and everyone's trying to schlep you down, what is the worst thing that you have? Time. Because the longer you have to survive. There's no greater arena to see the difference in life than the attitudes between men and women to time. Men love time. They're in no rush. And the woman, time is everything. She's in sync with time, because time is the program that she is up against. And but you can see this is a can of worms that's endless. But just to put it in your head to think about it.
Women have limited time to have children.
Everything. The whole mission is they're in a rush. They're up against the clock. That's a good way to say it. Up against the clock, and the man is, freeze the clock. He has no. Okay, we'll see. It's still a little shallow at this point, but so on colleges I give a mushal because you have to get people's attention. So I have a very good mushal, but the mushal I use a little edgy when you start to lose someone. Certain things that you could say that everybody wakes up. So I say like this. I go like, explain why men have more mitzvahs. I go, imagine I own a tanning salon, and Michelle Obama walks into my tanning salon. Okay, and I give her a look like this. I go like, am I a racist? Is that racist? That look. What do you think?
No.
Why not?
Because it's stupid.
I don't do it for white people.
No, there's no point for her.
Exactly. I'm not racist. I'm so flattered you chose my tanning salon. Can you take a picture with me? You're like, I'm the biggest fan. It's so cool. I just want to make sure you know what we're doing here. Like, you got that covered. If you want to come anyway, it's fine. But maybe you're making a mistake. They want what you got. You're already there. Chas v'sholom. If you're welcome. I'm flattered. I'm so privileged that you chose my establishment. I just want to make sure that this isn't a mistake. You understand what we do here. It's not racist because she's already tan. This is not my objection because it's a pragmatic concern. It's exactly the same thing. The fact that women don't have mitzvos aseh, the mitzvos, it's not that the Torah is sexist. It's that you're already there. The woman is already godly. The mitzvos aseh are tools to help a man achieve what a woman is born with innately. We need props and operations and things to allow us to become what she already is. That's how we see mitzvos, and it's not male chauvinist at all. It's a mitzias. These are tools. Okay. I want to give a couple of proofs of this. Let me see if I... There are two questions that people ask. You guys are a very quiet, nice crowd. So anything bothering you? There's two questions that people ask at this point. Yeah?
So if the mitzvahs are just a tool, why do you say shalosh l'sani isha?
Okay, so it's okay.
Because that is that they have more mitzvahs.
Okay, so I'll do the shalosh l'sani isha later in the talk. I want to get more out of the way first. It's part of the talk. But...
Is there no growth for women living?
Oh, beautiful. So question number one is a woman doesn't have ambition? What are you saying? Women can't have ambition? What, she has nothing to do? She's already on top, nothing to do? That's question number one. It's a very good question. Yeah.
If I understood you correctly, did you say that men need women for their...
No, I didn't say anything about the interrelationship yet of men and women. So far I'm treating each one separately. We'll get to relationships, but the first thing is, right? The first thing is we're defining just that a man's job is to climb. His job is kedusha, to become kadosh. He's born non-godly, has to become godly. A woman is born godly. Her job is to defend her godliness. That's called tara. She's two different, with both, and if you think about it, they're exactly equal. They're literally the same ladder. There's no difference in their journeys. They're just going up and down this ladder from opposite directions. Totally equal jobs, but opposite at the same time. It's a fascinating structure, Kedusha and Tara. It's the same struggle from two opposite angles. Okay, and we'll see how that's the next step, is how we interrelate. What's the second question? The second, yeah?
If the woman is presumed to be on top of the ladder,
Yes.
so that means that the man is supposed to climb up the ladder.
Yes.
Where does the woman go?
Well,
Just stay up there?
it's a wide ladder. It's a wide, so there's a throne at the top.
Same question as this.
There's a throne at the top. We could all, okay. All right? So let me just, what's the second question that comes up? So if a woman, according to this, if no one asks it, I shouldn't do it, I'll save time. I'll say the question, maybe I'll answer it later. Because I feel like I'm taking too long. If a woman falls, does she have to do mitzvahs aseh then? Why doesn't she have to do mitzvahs aseh if she falls? Right? We assume that that's not the case, right? So why not? According to this structure, the mitzvahs aseh to trip up, that's a valid question. So I'll answer the first one first. Does women don't have ambition? So the answer is sort of, yeah. Women have something very similar to ambition, but it's not, ambition is the desire to become something. The woman is already sholem. So she has drives, but the woman's ambition is not to become, it's to accomplish with who I am, to overflow. A woman's ambition is creativity and nurturing, giving, inspiring. It's the same drive. It's just when the drive to do, and the man's drive is to fill his vessel. The woman already feels her vessel's full. She wants to overflow. She wants to accomplish what she can with that. I call a woman's ambition creativity, overflowing. And the man's ambition is to fill himself. They're subtly different, but there's significant differences. Okay, let me give you some proofs, because I'm saying it's very controversial, especially if this is a Kiruv weekend, so you really want to hear how it's done in the field. So in colleges, it's very important to prove this. What I'm saying is literally, it's the opposite of their whole worldview. Their worldview is that men and women are not the same. To say that they're opposite is like impossible. And I was saying literally that they're opposites. So you have to prove it. So I'll give you a few proofs, fun proofs, and I'll give you one of each, like a fun proof, serious one, solid, very solid ones. So the first proof is, I need a guinea pig over here. All right, Tzaddik, okay? See this Tzaddik over here? What? He's a nice young guy, okay? You ever see him? I've been watching you the whole day. You have a lot of potential. No, not Stam. You have serious potential, right? Now you have to blush more, okay? You have to play along with me. Can you blush on demand? Right? Men love being told we have potential. It's a really cool thing. Don't ever chas v'shalom tell a woman that she has potential. It's It's a very dangerous proposition, right? Very dangerous. Why? How could it possibly be that people could have such opposite reactions to the exact same phrase? The reason why a man loves potential, because we don't have any expectations that we're already perfect. Potential means that I am a master climber. There's a deeper reason also, is that normally a man has to choose between ambition and laziness. If I have ambition, if I want to be great, then I have to climb the ladder. I satisfy my ambition. If I want to sleep, I'll sleep and satisfy my laziness. I have to choose. I can't have both. But there's a trick. When I say potential, I satisfy both drives. Because now you're a somebody. I have number one in potential. But I can do that lying in my bed. It's the one trick where you can satisfy your laziness and ambition at the same time. You feel like a show. In the world of ambition, I don't have to do anything. It's theoretical. But men like ambition because it's not an insult. I don't expect to be perfect. When you tell a woman that she has ambition, what are you insinuating? Right? Not ambition, I'm sorry, they have potential. When you tell a woman that she has potential, what are you insinuating? Now, potential is a compliment. It means that you could be great. Right? So how's that an insult? What?
She's not showing now.
So I want you to say the magic word. I want the girls to say the magic word. If I say that you have potential, that means you could be so amazing and you still have potential. You could be amazing and still have potential. So what must you believe if you're insulted? There's only one word that would explain why no matter what you're insulted by potential. What do you have to believe? I could say you're great, and yet potential you're insulted. You're really great. If you're insulted by the word potential means you believe you're already what? Perfect. That's the only way it makes sense. You believe you're perfect. But every girl, I ever say this to on any campus, is insulted by it. So that means every girl in the world believes she's perfect? No. So the answer is yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's what the Torah says. It doesn't. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you. Let's see. We're starting. Okay. Now, I could say you have potential as a pilot in nuclear physics, in a niche thing. But generic potential as a human being, people don't want to hear that. I already feel like I'm there. Let me show you, let me get more intense. I'll do a fun one first. The secret of buying gifts. You know what the secret of buying a gift for a man is? The more stuff it does, the better. If it's 1,401, then the guys, you buy a tool set with 800 pieces. If he finds out there was another one for $20 extra with 817 pieces, it's like those 17 pieces kills him, right? Can he return the whole thing and get the better one? I want the fax scanner copier with the Wi-Fi and the more metal, the heavier it is, the more utility and functionality. Batman's belt, Inspector Gadget's shoes, this is what we want as men. What's the secret of buying a woman a gift? If it does anything of function whatsoever, it's a disaster. Jewelry, flowers, a letter. Why? Because if I give a man a gift that does something, what I'm saying is, here's some tools. Now you get the job done better, quicker. You're ready for the job. If I give a woman a gift that does something, what am I insinuating? That you're not there. You were missing this, and I got it for you. I got your back. Okay? Anything, even the most benign thing is a disaster. You get like a blender. It's like, oh, I had chunky smoothies? Like, what was it? Who had smoother smoothies? Like, the secret of buying a gift for a woman, this is what it should say, from the Torah perspective. It's, I want to buy you something, you're so amazing, but you're already perfect, so I don't know what I could buy you. So I'm just buying you this to crown your perfection. Okay? That's what it says. Okay? I'm buying you some jewelry to crown your perfection. Okay? This is the secret. Today you have a little more leeway. Like when I was dating, like you couldn't buy technology. Because like you bought like one of these Palm Pilots in those days, it was like called a personal digital organizer. Right? So if you'd buy that for a girl, she would go like, oh, I'm the one who's not organized? You're the one who's always late. Today you can buy technology if you buy Apple. Because Apple's an accessory. It's like jewelry. It's not, you can't buy Android products. But if you buy Apple, it's a nice gift because it's really jewelry. Make sense? Maskim? Okay? Okay? That's right? So that's the secret. So this is the rule. I'm being cute, but everything I'm saying is a little exaggerated, a caricature, because it's like a 1 hour share. We're not going to explain everybody in the universe. But it's a very useful framework to flesh it out on your own and figure out the nuances. I'll give you a short proof. When I was a kid, we had neighbors who owned a toy store, and they moved away, and they had every toy in the world. They had like G.I. Joe dolls with every accessory. They're not dolls, and boys, they're called action figures. We had G.I. Joe, every G.I. Joe action figure, the soldiers, they all had built into the plastic a different scar on their cheek. They were all unique. What was their scar? They never made Scar Barbie. Why not? Because there's two different types of beauty in life. A scar says this guy's a climber. That's a sign of calluses, and scars, a sign of beauty. If a girl has a scar, what does it say? She's having a little bit of a hard time holding on. Right? Ivory, flawless skin. That's the image. You don't need any help. It's like all. Okay, let me give you the last proof. The last proof is my checkmate proof. These are cute proofs. The last proof is it's like checkmate. Whenever you watch a movie, Chas v'Sholom, or read a book or something about Sholem Bayis, okay? Somebody you knew who watched the movie and told you about it, about Sholem Bayis. So every Sholem Bayis movie in the world, the story in the world, is the same plot line, right? They come, eventually they meet the therapist, whoever it was, and he goes, so what's your problem? So the woman always goes first, and she says, so what's your problem? She goes, we're married 15 years, he didn't change one thing, not one thing in 15 years. And then they go to the guy, and they go, what's your problem? She goes, she's not the woman I married. Let's analyze those two phrases. These aren't Torah phrases, these are universal phrases, every couple. When you say we're married 15 years and he didn't change one thing, what does that mean? What was the expectation going in? She's going to change. I married him because he had potential and he didn't exercise it. He didn't change one thing. When the man says, she's not the woman I married, what does that mean? What was his expectation? She's going to stay the same way. She was perfect and she's going to stay the same, and she didn't. It's a very, very real thing, And when you realize this, a secular person, that means your truths are not the truth they're selling you. Your internal truth, what you yourself feel, is much more in sync with the Torah's view of men and women. Gender roles are not that the man is outside and the woman is inside, that the man is intellectual and she's emotional. These are all nice phrases. They're not true. It could be a lot of times like that, but it could be not like that. The Torah's definition of gender roles is one thing: Kedusha and Tara. Two different slices of godliness. And that's how it plays out. Everything else is arbitrary. The woman wants to be on Wall Street and he's going to stay home and cook. That's perfectly kosher according to Judaism. There's nothing wrong with that. He wants to stay home and say Tehillim and cry. It's perfectly legitimate. Wonderful. Okay? It's all kosher. The Torah's precise definition of men and women is Kadosh v'Tahar. He's struggling with Kedusha and she's struggling with Tara. Okay. So now, do I have any? What time am I supposed to be done by?
9, and it's 8:52.
Okay. So you are the book. Someone tie him up. Okay. Gag him, and tie him up. Okay. All right. We'll see. Okay. It's not going to shut. I'll take a few extra. The next part's the important part.
Take all the time.
So now, how do we? So now,
You need time.
what? You need time. It's a man, right? A woman would have had it done by now. Okay. So here's where it gets important. So we really both have two jobs, though, because if I'm a man and I want to experience godliness, so I have to become kadosh, I have to climb the ladder, but I also have to make sure that the female half of my neshama holds on tight, because if she falls, then we still only get 50. And she has the same problem. She also has two jobs. She has to defend, maintain her holiness, but she has to make sure her male half climbs. Because if she just defends and he stays in the bottom, it's still only 50. So we both have two jobs. My personal job is to do my job, which is to climb, and to help the female half of my neshama defend, and her job is to hold on and help them. So how do we do that? Okay? That's really the main part of the shir, is the relationships that come out of these gender roles. So how do we help each other? So I have to be very makatsa here. I'm gonna come back and do the woman's side in a second, but right now it's the easier side to understand. We'll do the men's side and then come back at the end to the woman's side. The woman's side seems obvious. If she's already on top of the ladder, so you can imagine how she helps him, right? She's an inspiration. She's a role model. She's the target. She represents what he's supposed to aspire to. It's like if you want to make a puzzle, a family project puzzle, the secret of making puzzles is you have to look at the cover of the box. You know, every once in a while you look at the cover of the box, then you go back and you figure out the puzzle is. So in the simplest way, you visualize the woman as the cover of the box, and the man has what to model himself. It's good to have someone on top of the ladder to model yourself after. Okay, but it's really deeper than that. Let's do the man's side. What's the man's job? See, if she's already holy and he's in the bottom, so then is he more than just a complication? Like, how does he help her? How does the man help the woman if she's already godly and he's not? So what's his? How does the man help her defend? That's the big question. So in order to understand this, we have to get a really clear view of what is her struggle really. What's the struggle? It doesn't really make sense from this philosophical framework why a woman would ever do anything wrong. Why doesn't it make sense? Because if it's true that we're defining her as Tara, as godly, so imagine you're in school and there's a student who gets straight A's, 100 on every test. So could you imagine hearing that kid in the lunchroom saying, next semester I'm getting a 70 or nothing? Enough already. Getting a 70. I'm going to do whatever it takes. Does that make sense? There's no Yetzer Hara to underperform, to fail what you already succeeded at. You can't wrap your head around it. So why would a woman who's godly ever want to fall? Where does the desire to fall come from? There is no desire to fall. It's very hard to come up with an answer. There's only one answer. It's not a really it's a weak answer, but it's a true answer. But it's the only answer. There's no desire to do worse than you did. Once you know, people who don't want to do well because they're afraid they can't do it. But once you've done it consistently, so then you know you can do it, why would you want to do less? So if you had a student who got straight A's or hundreds and they're dreaming of a 70, there's only one rational explanation, a weird one. The answer is, something must have gotten mixed up and he doesn't know he got hundreds. If someone is dreaming of a 70, must be their grades came back as a 50. Everybody wants to improve. If someone is saying a 70, he got the wrong number. Something the wires got crossed. Any woman who wants to fall, there's no desire to fall. Any woman who ever fell, there's only one explanation. She has no idea how holy she is. No one told her. She was never told how holy she is. And therefore, the job of a woman in marriage is to inspire the man. What's the man's job in marriage in one word? The Torah says the ultimate responsive job of a man in marriage is l'chabda, to honor her. Honor is to make someone feel perpetually how wonderful they are. If you honor the woman, then she will always be cognizant of how great she is, and she will never fall. The only way a woman ever falls is if you rob her of honor and you treat her in a way that makes her believe that she's not deserving of it. And then she'll hope to get more. But what's supposed to happen, ideally, no one should feel bad if it's not the case, because I don't know anyone, it's very rare that this ever exists, but in the perfect world, what's supposed to happen, a girl is supposed to go to sleep every night, and the father should kiss her on the forehead and say, you are my perfect princess. You are the best thing that ever happened to me. I don't know what I did to deserve you. You're my life. You're my everything. And that's supposed to happen for 20 years until he walks her down the chuppah. And for the next 100 years, her husband is supposed to tell her the same thing. And if a woman lives a life like that, where she was reminded every day of how holy she is, she will never lose one step. She will remain as pure and as godly her entire life. And in the process of being godly like that, she will change the entire world. Countless people will be inspired and ennobled by her dignity. But the requirement to preserve that dignity is to honor them. And unfortunately, what the world does is literally the opposite. What we do literally the opposite. We put all of our talent and all of our creativity into figuring out how to degrade women. Because if we could degrade them, then we're free and we can go back to the couch and watch football. See, let me end off now with the woman's side a little bit. So the man's job is pretty simple. Difficult, but simple. You have to be a very brave man to honor a woman. We'll see. As I explained the woman's side. What is the woman's job? To inspire him. How does the woman inspire the man? What is the inspiration? So, every single man in the world who ever lived we have a Yetzer Tov and a Yetzer Hara. The difference between my Yetzer Tov and my Yetzer Hara is that each of them is attracted to a different woman. The ambition of a man, the Yetzer Hara of a man, the Yetzer Tov of a man wants the most noble, regal, godly woman in the world. Every child grows up, children grow up. Disney is one of the biggest businesses in the world. The reason why Disney is such a big business is because Disney's bread and butter are princess movies. And princess movies aren't made for Beis Yaakov girls, they're made for universally for all girls in every culture. Because before we're broken, when we're 8 years old and we're still complete, the dream is that I want to be a princess, and every boy, you go to any Jewish community on Purim, you're going to see in a week, 2 weeks, and it's not just in Jewish communities, you go to any non-Jewish community on Halloween, every single girl under 8 years old, there's only one costume. Right? A princess or a kala, it's the same costume. Every single girl under 8, and every boy in the whole world on Halloween is the same costume. Something with a gun, a sword, or a cape. When we're young and before we're broken by the universe, we all have very simple dreams. To be a princess and to be the hero that deserves the princess. What is that dream? So people think the princess dream is what? I want to be in danger, saved by a big strong guy? That's not the dream. It's much deeper than that. What is the princess dream? The princess dream is that I want to be so valued that somebody's going to be willing to fight a dragon to deserve me. The princess story is a story of honor and value. The hero is not saving her, he's fighting for her. In the real story, she's the one who's saving him. He was mediocre on the couch. He saw a princess and now he gets a sword, he's going to slay a dragon. He becomes great. She saved him. In the end of the story where he gallops in and he slays the dragon, that's just a poetic justice, where she gets to eat the fruits of her labor. That she inspired him and then he saved her because she inspired him. Right? Why is this guy saving her? Right? You watch any princess movie, you have a million questions. You see a guy galloping on a white horse, slaying a dragon. How come he's up at 8 in the morning? How come he's so neatly shaved? Why is he speaking in multi-syllable words? Why is his tunic so neatly ironed and not stained? Why is he so gallant and regal? Why is he so idealistic? Why is he fighting, risking his life with a fire-breathing dragon while he's flammable? Why is he risking his life for a woman he doesn't even know? Where does his idealism come from? Where did his sense of mission and his passion and his fire? There's a million questions. There's only one answer. Everyone knows the answer to all these questions. One answer. Do you know why he's up so early in the morning? Do you know why he's fighting so hard? Do you know why he's noble and regal and kind and benevolent and gallant and regal? Only one answer. The reason why he's up so early is because of the majesty of the princess. And he's going to do everything he can to deserve her and to prove his worth. And that's why the princess movies are so powerful. It's the truest thing in the world. The dignity of the woman is what inspires a man. And the Yetzer Tov, the healthy part of a man, the part of him that isn't broken, his ambition craves a princess. But to the degree that his Yetzer Tov craves the princess, his Yetzer Hara hates the princess because she is a threat to his chill. You can't sit on the couch and drink beer. If you marry a princess, you have to get up for Shachris. If you marry a princess, you have to be careful how you talk, what you look at, how you think, how you conduct yourself. So every man is torn. Half of him wants the most noble, regal, holy girl in the world, and half of them wants someone a little damaged, someone with no expectations who will allow me to sit and burp and leave my socks on the floor. And this is the struggle we go through. So how does the woman inspire the man? The way she inspires the man is through her majesty. It's so neat. Her purity, her tahara is what's inspiring. There's a confidence that comes with tahara. I have nothing to prove. And that's the power. It's daunting, that power. And that's what he fights for. And that's what he wants to deserve. The man's job, so her job is to preserve her dignity. And when she preserves her dignity and doesn't show any insecurity or any need, so he will do anything to deserve her. And his job is to help her stay there by reminding her how great she is. So I'll end with this image. So how does the man help her stay there? When I was dating, my Rebbe gave me the shmooze a lot shorter. He said, basically, your job in marriage is one word, to honor her. And I said, that's cool, because I'm a good talker. I could do that. So he laughed at me like no one ever laughed. He goes like, kids, like you think honor has anything to do with words? I said, like what else? So he goes, honor means that, I said, what else? What does it mean? He goes, well, for starters, you have to be out of bed every morning before she is. She doesn't work for you. you get out of bed before her, and you take care of things for her. So I said probably the same thing that most of the people who heard the shmooze from him said afterwards. We said, all right, so what's the second best thing? Is there a plan B? Like, what else? And I tell you, like, a secret I see in the world. Like, you know what the shortcut to loss of shalom bayis is? At least with all the young couples today, I see it all the time. Is when the guy stops going to shachris. The quickest way to lose your wife's respect, to lose the marriage, is when the man stops going to shachris. Let me explain how that works. The men don't understand. What do you mean? I'm just tired. What does she care? But when you don't go to shachris, so you think you're just sleeping. What does she hear? Oh, I'm not a princess? Why aren't you slaying dragons? You're stabbing her in the heart when you don't go to shachris. And I tell the guy, but you can recover it. It takes a long time. But here's what you have to do. You have to start going to shachris. She'll notice every day, but she's not going to say a word because it's way too important. She dreamt from the time that she was 6 years old of being a princess and a man who's going to fight for her and deserve her. There's no dragons anymore. This is the dragon. Mornings, shachris, it's a dragon. And this is what she dreamt of. And you're sleeping, and you're stabbing her in the heart. So here's what you have to do. You have to go to shachris. And she's not going to budge because it's too big. Nobody is going to make themselves vulnerable so you can stab them again. She's not going to budge, but she's keeping track. She starts to wake up early to see if you're getting out of bed and davening, hoping it's going to happen again. It wasn't just a fluke. And then after a week of you going to shul, if you're lucky, there'll be a snowstorm. And snowstorms are amazing for recovering shalom bayis, because when she's lying in bed and it's dark outside and she hears the shovel scraping on the driveway, digging the car out for shachris, she begs Hashem, please don't let it stop, Hashem. She has a real hope that a snowy morning, that's a real dragon. The lance that slays dragons today is the shovel in that storm. And when you're something that she's davening to Hashem, please let this be real. Because you proved it enough, but it's too important. She can't fold. So she's going to wait another week or two. The second snowstorm, if it happens again, and she wakes up and she hears this shovel on the driveway, you're going to come home from shul, and there'll be waffles and pancakes and every kind of scrambled eggs and omelets. It'll be like mamish achasna again, because you proved yourself. It takes 40 days to reshape an image, but this is the most important image. And when a man goes to shachris, the Torah world is so perfect. It was designed by the Rebbeinu Shalom, by the Anshe Tzedakah, by Chazal. This is what works. It's universal. It's not chukim, irrational. When you go to shachris, you are telling your wife that she is everything. And she smiles on her pillow because she knows that it's all her. And you're reminding her how great she is, and she'll just glow more. And listen, it's very hard. You have to be a brave man. It's so much easier to chip away at her dignity. And so then now you can chill. But when that happens, it's the saddest day in the world, because now you'll be a nobody and she's going to be sad. Maybe the marriage will work. Maybe people learn to live together, but it's a broken marriage and a very sad existence. The greatness is a world of heroes and princesses. It's not a fairy tale. If a man will succeed at honoring his wife, she will preserve her royalty. She'll be a queen. And you know what happens to the kids who grow up in that house? If kids grow up in a house where they hear their father saying about their mother, isn't our mommy the holiest? And they see that he looks at her the way that you look at a woman who's royal, and that she looks at him with the appreciation that a woman has for the man who fights for her, those kids are bulletproof. There's nothing that can happen to them. They can go to yeshiva and have the most brutal, abusive Rebbe, Menahel, and Mashkiach all in one, and classmates, and they'll bounce home from school, maybe with a black eye and a black and blue mark, and they'll say, "Mom, we have like the weirdest Rebbe, he just beats up on guys." But unfazed, because there's nothing safer to live in a house where your father looks at your mother with those eyes. The war. Basically, if a woman will be a queen, the man will become a king, the kids will be princes and princesses, the house becomes a palace, and everybody lives happily ever after. Basically, Walt Disney plagiarized the entire Torah. But this is our message to the world. Far from being the weak point in Yiddishkeit, it is the strongest thing in the world. I'll answer questions if anybody wants. I'm done. I'm sorry it went so much over. I appreciate you sticking around. Good luck.
Want me to record the question?
Oh, what? Yeah, Shloyas Hanisha. First, the Shloyas Hanisha. So first of all, the woman says, we both thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu literally for our missions. The woman, it's a mistranslation the way we understand Shasani Kirtzoinai. People think that women make a bracha, at least Hashem made me like He wanted. Right? That's what Shasani Kirtzoinai means. Though that would be Shasani Birtzoinai. At least He made me with His will. Shasani Kiritzoinai means what? What does chaf before a word mean? What does the prefix chaf? Like. Shosasani Kirtzona means what? He made me like His will. The woman represents the Ratzon Hashem. You're thanking Hashem for making me represent the Ratzon Hashem. That's Shleimus. We call that, in the spheres, the highest sphere is Keser, it's Ratzon. It's a woman represents the Ratzon Hashem. The man doesn't say he's creating the Ratzon Hashem. The man makes a bracha, because what does the man love about his job? What's his job? What? So his job is to do it himself. The man he's a climber. I don't want to be born perfect. I'll give you the mashal. You ever see, I don't know, I'm putting on a video of Torah. I don't want to ruin the whole Torah. I'm going to use another movie mashal. But from the old days when movies were kosher.
Do you want me to turn?
No, it's kosher, it's kosher. You have all these common theme movies, are all these old police movies. In every police movie, it's the same story. There's the one cop who's like the best cop in the force, but like he always kills like 30 bad guys in one shot, but he always totals like 4 police cars, 3 restaurants, a few fire hydrants. So he always ends up in the office of the captain. And the captain is, you don't know what you're doing to me, like the commissioner is coming down my head, you can't keep on doing this, you know. We've seen this a million times, you know, that scene is like cliche, right? What is the line that the captain always says to the police officer? What's his line? It's a cliche. The line is, if you do this again, I'm going to bump you up to a desk job. That the line? So let's translate those words. Bump you up to a desk job. What does bump you up mean in modern language? Promote you. Okay? To a desk job, as opposed to on the streets. What do we call those 2 jobs? A blue-collar job and a white-collar job. So I'm going to promote you to a white-collar job. But every single person in the world watching the movies, when he says I'm going to bump you up to a desk job, we go like, no, anything but that. Like, that's the worst thing in the world. How is that possible? How does it make sense that it's horrifying to hear that you might bump him up to a desk job? Right? Why? Why does it bother us? He's a cop. We are all like tamed, broken men. But the last men in the world are cops. Don't break that cop. He's like the last hope for mankind. We understand that he's a man. You don't want to break him. He needs to be on the street with a gun, the smell of the sweat and the whole thing. That's how a man wants to be. We all live vicariously through him. We go to those movies because that's how we connect to Zachros. Ambition. We want to live in the struggle. A desk is not the place for us. We don't belong by a desk. It doesn't exist. In yeshiva, it still exists. People don't understand what yeshiva is. But the world is sitting there with a field and they're plowing their field. In yeshiva, that's what we do. Yeshiva is a war zone. It's a nobler war, because I'm not fighting with muscles, I'm fighting with my head. Your life is on the line all day long. Bigger than your life, your whole pride. I went to a shir in Eretz Yisrael. I saw Rav Shach give a shir. He was 92 years old in Bnei Brak. He's the best yeshiva in Eretz Yisrael. 2,000 of the sharpest minds in the whole land. And he gets up to give a shir. These kids are young, they're on fire, they're learning a whole week preparing for a shir. He's an old man, 92. He must take a nap in the afternoon, whatever it is. And he has to get up in front of all these minds and say his Torah. And everyone is waiting to shoot him down. There's no Rachmanis. Because you shoot down Rav Shach in the shir, you're the man. You're the quickest gun in the West. Everybody wants to shoot the gunslinger down. He's not a Rebbe who got it because he inherited it. He's the Reshiva because he was the best. And I watched the shir. Every shir is the same model. He starts off, again, they studied the same material, 1 page of Gemara with the Rav Barsham for a week. Once he gets up to do a shir klali, he asks 5 questions. The room erupts in screaming. Everyone's screaming, fighting to knock down his questions. They start to resolve their questions amongst themselves. One by one, a few questions survive the Bachram fighting, and they make their way to the front of the room, the guys who have good questions, who nobody was able to answer, and they line up, and he's on the top of the stage, and they scream up their questions, and he fights them down, and one by one, if he wins, the guy leaves humbled, and the next one goes. Once everyone got the answers, his questions survive, he can go further. Then he says his principle he's going to use to answer these questions. Again, they fight, 20 minutes later, they get to the top, he wins, they go back. Then he shows how his principle answers all those questions he asked, they fight, and then he ends off the 4th part, he brings proof to his principle. That was the structure. A kasha, a yasoid, the teretz, and the raya. And every stage he has to fight. And he wins. Once in a while, there's a bacher who shoots him down. And he's the pride of the yeshiva. You shot down Rav Shach, everyone, like he's the man. But that's only once in a while. If the same guy does it 3 times, then Rav Shach retires. We have all the respect in the world, but you're not there because you have royal blood. You're there because you're the biggest Talmid Chacham. And it's hard at 92 years old. And the next person takes over. Because the Bachram people don't know this is a war zone. They're men. You go to Panovich, you go to Brisk, these are men, these are bulls. It's fire. But the world is emasculating men. And we love police officers. So when a man thanks Hashem, the woman is thanking Hashem for making me godly. That's what she wants. I'm pristine. I'm godly. Thank you for making me like your will. When the man thanks Hashem for who he is, what does he say? He's thanking Hashem for allowing me to do it myself. Thank you for not making me perfect. He can't say, people say, why don't you say it positive? She'asani ish. No, that's not the point. You don't say she'asani ish. She'asani ish is saying thank you for making me deficient. That's not a thank you. The thank you for making me an ish is thank you for not doing it for me and allowing me to do it myself. The man is thanking Hashem for allowing. It's like I give a man a riddle, or you're on the road and you're lost. You don't ask directions. We're not asking directions. I'm going to figure it out myself, even if it takes a week, right? Because I want to do it myself. That's what it means she'asani ish. I don't even need a map.
How does it fit in the order? Goy, David, Ish.
Oh, so each one. The reason you need all 3, it's 3 different trips. The guy and the Evid, it's not the same thing. Each one is a different haidah and a different thing. The man's haidah is the thank you for letting me do something myself. So it's not, you don't compare to the 2 and those 2 also you don't compare them. They're all 3 different acknowledgments. It's not repeating the same acknowledgement 3 times. What else? Because then you could just say thank you for making me not making me a man. It includes all the things. You thank Hashem for making me do it myself. It's one bracha.
If you say just not making you a man, you're putter from saying another thing.
What?
You say you think you're shleisani ish, then you're shleisani isha, then you're putter from saying shleisani other.
The halacha?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, that's cool. All right. It's my son. He has my back. Okay. I'm sorry. Called him out. But that's you hear that? So that's what he's saying. He's saying because I was saying it backwards. I said that subsumes the other 2. But the point is, you're thanking Hashem for your mission. Thank you for not giving me a hint. Let me figure it out myself. You give me a riddle, and I can't figure it out. Nobody gives me riddles anymore because after an hour they go, "Can I tell you already?" No, 2 hours. No, a month. Well, maybe you can tell me. I'm going to figure it out. Yeah, sorry. Oh yeah, I cut you off. I went. Any questions?
Makes sense.
What?
The order has to make sense because they are the same.
Yeah, so we'll talk about the shleis. I want to answer first the question I said. One, why doesn't the woman have the mitzvahs aseh if she falls? There's a lot of questions that are more, right? So why doesn't the woman have mitzvahs aseh when she falls? Can you figure that one out? Any questions that you have? That's my question. Any questions? Yeah.
Those are not the tools.
You
You can't take men's tools.
can't take
Men's tools to
men's.
The mitzvahs are the tools for the man.
Means she needs different tools. Why not the same ladder? Once she fell, it's the same ladder. Yeah, but I'm saying when she fell, so now she has to recover it. What? What does falling mean? Who? Oh, so that's the teretz. He's already saying the teretz. Okay, I always do this. I ruined the video. The answer is that a woman doesn't really ever fall. You know how you know? I'll give you another common movie theme. One of the most common themes in movies, or in books, forget movies, classic books. Universal storyline. The first scene of the book is this beautiful couple. A picnic, or they're playing with their kid in the park, or they're going to Disneyland, or maybe it's Victorian England, and they're dressed in gowns at a ball. It could be any era in history. The first scene is, the directors know how to make a beautiful scene with a beautiful couple, and you go, wow, it's such a great couple. Scene 2 is a Greyhound bus pulling into town with this dark stranger who has her secret from her previous life, and everyone in the crowd, like they just spent the first 10 minutes showing you this beautiful matzav, and now you know it's all going to be destroyed. This guy's coming to ruin everything. It's the most common theme in so many movies with this, or stories with this theme. They go different directions then. Sometimes the husband kills the guy, sometimes the wife kills the guy, sometimes he ruins the marriage. It can go different directions. But everyone agrees it's a common theme in stories, the dark stranger from the past, uprooting the apple cart of this perfect marriage. My question is, in order to make a book or a movie work and popular, it has to be believable. People have to be able to believe it. To do it many times, and everyone does it, must be a very believable storyline. How is this believable? Can you believe this? The movie is claiming that in scene 1, we saw this regal woman, so pure like the snow, so wonderful, good, kind, noble. But according to the movie, it seems like in the previous town, she was a very low person. She moved 80 miles in a bus, and she changed to a princess. Is that believable? That an 80-mile bus ride can change someone? No schools, no years of self-development, trips to Thailand, no Musar, no. How is that believable? But it seems to be believable. Everyone accepts that storyline. Because the answer is, it is believable. Because everyone understands that a woman doesn't really fall. She gets schlepped down by her environment. People know things that she made a mistake, people know, and now she can't walk around like a princess because everybody knows. But if she can leave all those people behind, and no one knows what happened in the past world, she's instantly back to where she was, the same perfect girl she was. A girl never loses her kedusha, her tara. It's always there. She can't be like that because people aren't going to let her. They're going to remind her. So she just needs to leave and start a new leaf somewhere else. For a man, that'll never happen. Because a man has to climb the ladder. He needs to go to Israel, have the most brutal Rosh Hashiva with a good cop, bad cop who loves him, one person who kicks his rear end, one person who builds him up. He has to work on chakras and get chavrusas and work on himself. And in 2 solid years in Eretz Yisrael, he has this look in his eyes, like he's growing, comes back to America. He survives his first Bein Hazmanim at home, and he does everything good. He can go back to Israel. He starts to become a gadol. But it takes a few years of really serious growth. We're very different. The man needs the mitzvahs aseh to climb. A woman, no matter how far she falls, she never needs the mitzvahs aseh. All she needs is a new city. I mean, the truth is, unfortunately today, technically that's not so easy because with the internet, we're robbing people of the chances to have second chances. So it is literally the worst thing of the internet is the preservation of past mistakes. And it's very hard to recover. Whatever, people don't talk about that mistake, but of all the things the internet destroys in the world, that's the most important destruction. Because the world depends on princesses to save the world. Without a bas melech, the world falls apart. Everything good that ever happened in the world, anything good that any guy ever did, there was a girl that he was picturing that he wanted to be deserving of and prove this. Maybe a theoretical person or an actual person, but he wanted to prove his value to somebody. And therefore, all the evil forces in the world are aligned in one mission. If we can rob the dignity of women, if we can cheapen all the women, then all the men are free. And life becomes one big Sudas Achashverosh. But first you have to degrade the women. That's my next share tomorrow. The commercial to start that share is, Why does Achashverosh ask Vashti to come to the party with only a crown on? Because if you have $1 billion party with every booze and everything in the world and you're ready to break it down, you can't because there's a queen. The party reaches a limit of how chilled you can be. If you want to go further, the queen has to lose her dignity. She has to come. We have to break the queen. If the queen loses her dignity, then we're free. Then the party can do anything. There's nothing to hold us back. But if you're having the craziest party in the world and the queen walks in, it's like busted, caught with my hand in the cookie jar. And everyone feels like guilty and ashamed. We have to eat with our silverware and fix our ties, and that's how the world works. So the Megillah story starts off, that's the introduction for tomorrow morning shir, Vashti's tale, getting a grip on Vashti's tale, but it starts off with the understanding of, for a party to happen for real, the kind of party that you buy that Achashverosh through, it can't happen until the queen gets degraded. The queen is the opposite of that party. And that's what the world is. The entire world is trying to degrade women so he can have Achashverosh's party. And that's why in the frum world, we put all of our efforts into one mitzvah above all else, and that's preserving the dignity of Bnei Yisrael. Because if we can preserve the girl's dignity, then the guys will become heroes. And then the kids will become princes and princesses. But what needs to be done is to not let the world degrade our women. And this is the realest milchama of them all. All right, let everybody go and do something else.